Hello, I'm Carol Smith. Welcome to View and Do Video Craft Classroom number 18, Floral Arranging with Paper Capers Paper Ribbon. It's hard to believe that you can make these beautiful floral arrangements with just paper ribbon and a few dried naturals. The truth is, you do not have to have an artistic eye to create these lovely arrangements. Just follow the simple steps, and before you know it, you'll have a beautiful centerpiece that you can be proud of. When you're shopping for materials, be sure to pick up Paper Capers Paper Ribbon. It's the premium quality ribbon that comes in all of today's exciting colors. If you've ever worked with any other paper ribbon, then you know that they're not all alike. Paper Capers Paper Ribbon is color fast and will not fade on other parts of your arrangement or, more importantly, on your walls or furniture. Paper Capers Paper Ribbon is made to exacting specifications with the highest quality materials for maximum performance as a paper ribbon. It's soft and easy to work with, it's reshapeable, and it's fade resistant. Many other kinds of paper ribbon are made from leftovers and vary from batch to batch. Today we're also going to be using Paper Capers Paper Wire and also these books, Paper Ribbon Roses and Arrangements and Paper Ribbon Country Florals by Rita Mixon. Read the back of your video and make sure you have all the materials, and let's get started. Our first project is this graceful grapevine bow. Look how lovely it is. You can hang it on your wall or put it on a bathroom vanity or in your bedroom. I'm going to show you how easy it is. First you want to get a grapevine bow, and this one measures about 14 inches from here to here. And we're going to use the Paper Capers Country Blue Twisted Ribbon, and you want to measure off an 84-inch piece. Now I want to show you what it looks like. It's twisted ribbon, and so you will untwist the entire piece all the way the entire 84-inch length, and you just pull it out. It's about 6 inches wide. You twist it first and then spread it. Now after you've pulled it out, you can take your scissors and cut it in half. You want 2 3-inch pieces. Now you will do that for the entire length of the 84 inches, and I already have one done right here. And we're going to start with this one and wrap our grapevine wreath. As you can see right here, this one is wrapped around here, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start under here and put about a 12-inch piece underneath. Now if you want to, you can hot glue this under there to hold it. It's not necessary. It kind of is held between the two pieces there. Now we start wrapping it through. Now you don't want to wrap it solid. You want to sort of crimp the width of the material back down, because you don't want to cover the grapevine completely. Now as you pull it through, you want to turn the ribbon and get the ribbon straight. As you pull it through, you arrange it right where you want the wrap to be. Just keep on wrapping it. Now when you get to this part, you will go into the next section. Now I'm going to let you continue wrapping this all the way around. I'm not going to do it all because I have one that's already wrapped to show you the next step. When you get down to the bottom, you're going to have a piece longer than this left. So you will cut it off to where you have another end this length, and then the other one you will just divide it in the middle like this and stick it on with the glue gun so you have 4 streamers. And that's the point that we have this one. Now you see that I have my 2 ends and I have 4 streamers. Now I have tied knots in the ends of 3 of them, and I've left one to show you. This one turned out to be a little longer, so we'll just cut some of this off. We want to tie a knot, pull it down, and then I'm going to use my wire cutters. They make great scissors, and I'm just going to cut the ends off so that they're nice and straight. Now that gives us our streamers, and we're ready to put on our styrofoam. Now we've got a 4-inch piece of styrofoam, and I've used a knife and cut it in 2 so it won't be quite so wide, because hanging on a wall you don't want so much dimension. So we're just going to put some glue on there. And glue it down. You don't have to do this, but if you're a beginner it helps. Now you want to just make kind of a U shape out of your floral wire. Now this is an 18 gauge, and you just push it through. We wire our styrofoam on to make sure that it doesn't come off after we get the added weight of our flowers on there. The glue would not be enough to hold it on. Now we turn it over and we just wrap it around. You can use your pliers or wire cutters to wrap. And we just cut the ends off. Let's press that down a little bit. And now our bow is now ready to make our flowers, and that's the next step. The first flower that we're going to make is the small rosebud, and the instructions are in the Roses and Arrangements book, and there's pictures, step-by-step instructions, and also the patterns. So we're first going to cut out our leaves and our crown, and I've unwrapped a piece here, and what I want to show you about the green is there are 2 sides to this. There's a lighter side and a darker side. So you may want to decide whether you want the darker colored leaves or the lighter ones, or maybe you want to mix them. Now I've cut my pattern out of my book, and I'm going to use the pinking shears to just cut around that, because I want the rose leaves to be serrated on the sides. That makes them look more realistic. So we just cut around that, and we use the plain scissors to cut out the crown. Now I have mine already cut, and I'm going to put some glue on it. This is the Founder's Craft adhesive, and it's nice and thick. It works great for floral arrangements. I'm just going to put a line down the middle, put my stem on it. Now this is so thick and nice that I can just go ahead and form my leaf and let it be drying while I'm making my rose. Now we're going to use a piece of floral wire, and I've cut this one in 2 so it won't be so long. We use an 8-inch piece of the Paper Capers twisted paper, and we're going to cut it in 2 so that you're working with the 3-inch width of it, and we fold it in half. Crease it down the middle. Now I'm going to take my stem, and the first thing I want to do is I'm going to remind myself to fold this in. So I'm just going to fold it first, and that's going to be the very last thing I twist on. I'm going to start on this end, and I'm going to put some glue on here. Now I want to be sure that I have the folded side up. And I just lay my stem in there, my wire, and I start rolling it. I want to roll the first couple of times pretty tightly. Now I want to continue wrapping, and I'm holding it firmly at the bottom with my thumb and forefinger of my left hand. Now I'm getting a little looser as I'm going around, and I'm just going to crimp that paper in and take up the fullness. That gives us the opening part of the bud. So I just keep pinching it at the bottom, working in the fullness. And it's going to come down the stem a little bit. That will make it look more realistic. When I get to the end, I just want to work in that fullness and pinch it in. And then we're going to take a piece of floral tape, green, about 18 inches long, and we just start wrapping that in. Now we want to wrap that around, covering the paper, and then just continue to wrap it down the complete length of the stem. Okay, now we want to take our crown and put it on the back side away from our fold. And we crimp it in at the bottom and take a piece to hold it on. Now our leaf is dry enough. Let me get another piece of floral tape. And we'll put the leaf down a little further even than the crown. And again, you just come on down the stem with your floral tape. Now you're going to make 3 of these, and we're going to use this technique also for the start of our folded rows, and that's the next one that we're going to learn. Now make 3 and we'll go on to the next flower. Our next flower is the folded rose, and this one is easy. First we're going to go to the book, cut out the pattern for the folded rose leaf, and just use your pinking shears and cut out around it like we did on the previous flower. And I have mine already cut out. Now also cut a 5-inch piece of the paper capers paper wire, and we want to put the glue on it. We'll put the glue on the wire. And we just stick that on all the way to the end, because that means that we can shape our leaf all the way down. Now we'll put that aside, and we're going to you're going to start the folded rose by making the small rosebud, just like we did before we put the crown and the leaf on it. This is the completed rosebud without the leaves. Now we want to add to it, we're going to make this one right here, and to add to it we're going to cut 4 pieces. Or put on 4 pieces. We're actually just going to cut 2. We're going to cut a 4-inch piece of the twisted ribbon. 2 of them. And then you're going to untwist them, and I have mine already done here. You untwist them and you're going to cut them in half with regular scissors lengthwise. Both of them. This is going to give you your 4 petals. Now we want to pull them out and fold them across the grain like this and crease it down. Now we want to start wrapping our rosebud. Let's get some floral tape. Now we want to take one of the pieces and just crimp it together around the bud. We just pull it up and wrap it. You don't want it to go all the way around. You want to wrap it tightly, and if your floral tape tears, it's no problem. You just stick it back to itself and continue wrapping. And you stretch it and wrap it down the stem. Now to put the second one on, we take the folded piece. Now we want to overlap it a little bit, overlapping the petals. We want it to not be exactly opposite. And we wrap it tightly. And stretch it and go down the stem. And we take the third one, overlap that one, stretch it and keep it tight. And the fourth one. Let's pull it out a little bit at the top. Get our tape first. Now you want to arrange your rose, make sure it's the shape that you want it to be. Pull it out a little bit. And then we want to put our leaf on. Let's put this, start wrapping this one a little sooner. I didn't get quite as long a piece up there as I needed. I'm going to wrap it a little tighter up here. Now we'll just put our leaf on there. The paper caper covered wire is great because then you have the wire already hidden underneath your leaf so that you can shape it and your flowers just have a more professional look. And you wrap that down, shape your leaf the way you want it, and that's your folded rose. You can arrange it. And there it is. And now we're going to make the next flower. Our next flower is a pigtail, and we're going to make it with the paper capers covered wire, and we're using the rose color. We've cut 3 pieces 8 inches long, and we're going to wrap them around the pencil. I've already wrapped these. I'll show you how to do it. It's easy. You just start, hold it down, and wrap it around. Now you don't wrap it completely, you leave a little piece on the end, and that's what you're going to tape. Now you want to also take your pigtail leaf pattern and cut 2 leaves this time, and then 2 5-inch pieces of the covered green wire, and we've already made our leaves here, and they're drying. Now, you take a piece of florist wire, and this is a tip for you. When you don't have to glue to the bare wire, you can take a piece of floral tape and start it up at the top. That kind of covers the end of the wire, and it also helps you if you're a beginner. Now, you just put these together, and you just continue wrapping and tape these on. If your tape tears, you just hook it back on and continue to wrap. Now you stretch and hold that tight as you're turning it, especially when you get to the bottom of the 3 pieces of pink wire. You want to adhere that to your floral wire. Now you go all the way down the stem, so you have a covered stem. Actually, these are not going to be this much longer. We're going to cut those off, trim them, so we don't have to cover that part. Now we want to get another piece to put our leaves on. We want to shape them. And we're going to put them directly across from each other, right at the base of our pink wires. Well, let me tape one on. Then I can put the other one directly across from it. These are really easy to make. Now you just bring that piece all the way down your wire. And that's it. You can sort of shape them, move them around, and you'll make 3 of these, and then we'll go on to the next step. Now we're ready to assemble our arrangement, and the first thing we want to do is to cover our styrofoam. We're using a blue wood excelsior, and I've just pulled out a portion of it, and we're going to just press it over our excelsior and wrap it around. Now there's several purposes for this. One, of course, naturally, is to hide the styrofoam. The other is that it gives us a little more rounded shape. I'm holding it in place with the greenery pins. See, this almost is like a fabric. It holds together, so you can pull it around and stretch it and hide the styrofoam. The other usage for it is that it will help you provide a base for gluing in your drieds. Now if you think it's a little too long, you can just pull it, even go to the back and stick it down back there. This makes your arrangement look nice from both sides even. Now we'll turn it back over, and we're ready to put our flowers in there. And there's a diagram in the book that shows you exactly how to do them. But first I want you to cut the stems off. And I've cut all of these. We want to cut the folded rows about 2 inches long. And we're going to make the other flowers, the small rosebuds and the pigtails, 3 inches long. And we just want to cut down, just measure and cut them with our wire cutters. Now first we want to glue in our folded rows, and we're going to put it right in the center, and we're going to put the hot glue on it. Now this is actually a low temp glue gun, and that's the safest kind to use. If you don't have one and you're going to do floral arrangements, you might want to invest in one, because that saves you from getting burnt. Now you push that in, and we're going to do the rosebuds, and we're going to put them, putting one right up at the top. And you want to put glue about 2 inches up. And we're going to stick it in like this, right up at the top. We're going to stick it in the side and just tilt it up. Now we want to divide the arrangement in thirds. So we want to put this one basically down on this corner. And this one on this corner. Now we want to take our pigtails and put them in between. Now we're ready to put in our baby's breath, and this is the preserved baby's breath, and this one bundle will do about 3 of these projects. But it's better than the dried baby's breath because the stems are more flexible, and so it's easier to work with. Now I want to show you how to form the little flowerets that you can put on. This is an easy way to do baby's breath because it can be kind of frustrating unless you know the tips. You want to tear off the little pieces, the little sprigs, and then just pinch them together. Hold them in your left hand, and you want to hold them up kind of close, about 2 inches down from the top. And you just want to group them together. You're going to make a little rounded poof. Now the fuller you make this little flowerette, the less of them you'll have to put on. You can fill in faster. And you want it to be just a rounded shape. And I'm holding the stems with my left hand. Take off any brown flowers. This gives such a delicate look to the arrangement. Now you want to put a lot. After you've got about this many, or a few more even, then you can take and cut off these stems at the bottom because you couldn't push those in. Now we're going to just pinch that there, and we're going to put our glue on the bottom of it. And we're going to just start at the bottom and stick this in. Now you want to fill in around the perimeter first. So you want to go all the way around, then you want to come back and fill in towards the top. So look at this finished one. You go all around the outside and then fill in here around your rose. Now the most important thing is don't forget to let your flowers stick up above your baby's breath. If your baby's breath is too long, you will hide the grapevine wreath. You won't be able to see the edges, and it will hide your flowers. And when you're have completed it, then you have something that is a beautiful arrangement that you can either keep for yourself or give as a gift. Our next project is this lavender and lace basket. This is a Victorian palm basket that we've decorated with paper capers, flowers, and with some dried naturals, and it's a beautiful accessory for any room. You'll find all the instructions in the Paper Ribbon Country Florals book, and we're going to start with our basket. Here is my unfinished one. And we're first going to glue on the ruffles. Now we're going to glue on the lace first. This is 408 inches of 6-inch lace, and you may not have a sewing machine, so you may want to look for the pre-gathered lace. There's a number of alternatives, really. You also, if you can't find the one you want, you can glue it on with the glue gun and gather it by hand as you put it on. So there's several alternatives there. Now we're going to start in the center because this is where our arrangement will be on our finished basket, and we're just going to start and glue it down about an inch below the rim. Now, the reason we're gluing it down a little lower is we want to leave room for our ruffle. We also want to hide part of the basket at the bottom in this particular design. Now I'm going to stop for a minute and pull this out. I want to make sure that I'm not getting my gathers up in my glue. Just go on around here. Now I'm going to stop back here and move this over here because I'm only going to do one quadrant of this basket. You will finish yours while I'm getting ready to make the flowers. Now I want to show you how to do the ruffle. Now this is 1/2 yard of fabric, and we've cut it into 4 strips, and each one is 4.5 inches wide. After it's hemmed and gathered, that will give us a ruffle that's 4 inches wide. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine or don't want to do the sewing, there are beautiful chintzes that are pre-ruffled at a lot of your fabric shops and some of the discount stores. Now, we want to come and glue this right under the edge of the rim. And again, we're meeting in the center, and you're going to go all the way around, and you're going to meet right here. I think I waited a little too long before I glued it down. Now. Now we're using a cool melt glue gun because I care for my fingers, and it's so much easier when you're doing all this kind of work to have the low melt glue gun, because even if it drops on your finger like it just did on mine right there, it's not going to create a blister. Now we're going to move this around back and finish gluing that on later, and I want to show you what to do next. We have a GIMP. This is a decorator upholstery trimming actually, and we're going to start it in the center, and we're just going to cover the edge of our ruffle. This gives a nice finished look to the edge of our basket. Now I'm going to let you glue your ruffle on the rest of the way around, and I'm going to get ready to make the flowers. The first flower we're going to make is the Japanese iris, and we're using 3 colors of the paper ribbon, the sage green, lavender, and the purple. We're also using the sage green paper covered wire. Now in the book, Paper Ribbon Country Florals, you'll find the patterns, and I have them all laid out here so you can understand and know which one to make for each thing. Now the first one is petal B, and we're going to cut it out of the lavender. There's a pattern for that, and we're going to use a 5-inch piece of the twist, and we untwist it and cut out 3 petals. We also use 3 pieces of the sage green covered wire. The reason we use the green is it doesn't come in purple, so this is the color of our leaf, so it matches. Now we're going to cut an 8-inch piece of the purple twist, and we're going to cut 3 of petal C and 3 of petal A. These are both the purple ones. Then we're going to cut 5-inch pieces of the wire, 6 of them, 3 for petal C and 3 for petal A. Now we're going to cut an 8.5-inch piece, of the sage green for the iris leaves, and we're going to cut 2 of those, and we have 9-inch pieces of the wire, and I have my 2 leaves cut here. Now this is enumerated in your book, so you don't have to remember what I said, but I just thought you might want to see. I like to get all of my pieces cut before I start assembling. Now to assemble, we're going to glue the wires on, and I'm going to put this one, I'm going to glue it first, and we just put our glue on the wire. Now the reason this is only a 3-inch piece of wire, and the petal is obviously longer than that, is because we don't want it to go all the way to the bottom end. We want to put it up close to the top, but have about an inch left at the bottom. Now we're just going to let that one dry. Now on these we do glue them all the way through. The nice thing about the Founder's craft adhesive is that it is flexible. So as you're bending the wires to shape your petal, it will not crack because it's a flexible glue. Now we glue a stem in the center of this one. And this does go all the way down to the end. and leaves a stem at the bottom. And then we glue our leaf on. You know how to do that. Now we're ready to start assembling. I'm going to just push this over to the side because I already have mine. The wires are already dry. Now the first thing we're going to do is to take the center petal and we're going to curve it in. Now I have my florist wire that's I've already started wrapping it with a little bit of the florist tape. And I'm just going to take my first petal and put it facing, the wire goes in, which with a leaf it goes out, so that's different. The reason is because this forms the center of our iris and it's going to be tilted forward. So we just wrap it around. We put on another one. We want to shape it a little bit before we put it on. And there will be 3 of these. I want to wrap this down a little bit and get it onto my stem so it's secure. Now we want to put the 3rd one on. I want to tilt it downward because it's going to be shaped like this. And move this one. Just pull these to the side because I want the 3 to be across from each other. Now we'll shape these petals a little bit. Tilt the ends up. And now we'll put on the next set of petals. Now the reason we didn't want that stem to go all the way down is we're going to put it on top. That makes these easier to handle, and we glue on then these 3 at the same time. I mean these 2 at the same time. We'll glue them on separately. I need to stop and get a longer piece of floral tape. Now we're going to go in between each one of the center petals that we glued on. So I want to put one now over here. Let me bend this down a little bit. We want to put it in between the 2 center ones. Now when it breaks, you just stick it back to itself and start wrapping it again. I pulled a little too hard. That's okay, we just keep wrapping. Now I'm going to break this and start up here again. And just wrap a little more of my stem. And I want to stretch as I'm going down. This sort of secures your petals. Probably makes you dizzy watching that flower go around. Now we just want to arrange those in the center, between our center petals, and we'll put on the third one. Get another piece of tape. Now you just turn it and wrap enough tape around here so that it covers your wire, the ends of your wire, completely. Now it's going to be a little bulky at the bottom of your wire, so you may want to fill that in just a little bit more with your floral tape. Now I'm going to take my leaves. Oops, here they are. Shape them a little bit. We're going to come down about an inch under where our petals have ended and glue those on opposite each other. Now we put this one across from it. Now you just completely wrap the stem. Now I know that I'm going to cut this off, so I didn't wrap the complete length of the stem. It probably would have been easier had I cut it off before I did all that. Then I wouldn't have been poking myself with it. Now we want to fix the flower and pull the petals down so that it looks like this, so it has this shape. And you just shape it as it pleases you. Bring these down more. You can tilt those out a little bit. And this is basically the shape that you want. Nice flower. Now you'll make 2 more of these and we're going to go on to the next flower. The second flower we're going to make for the lavender and lace basket is a pussy willow, and it's easy to make. We're going to use the sage green paper twist, and we're going to cut 2 5-inch pieces. 5-inch pieces. Now we cut them and unroll them, and then we're going to cut them in 2. And then we're going to fold them a quarter of it over to the center, and then this quarter of it over to the center, so that you have your 2 raw edges going right down the center. Now we're going to take, and I put it in my hand and do a half turn, and then the part that doesn't have the seam is going to be my outside petal, and I pull the one that does have the seam to the inside and crimp it at the bottom. That makes my little petals. Now I'm going to do this one that way. Again, if you missed that, we're going to fold a quarter of it over, the raw edge to the center, this raw edge to the center. We twist it a half turn. The one that doesn't have the seam goes on the outside, and the one that does have the seam goes on the inside. Now, I have 4 of them. You're going to put 4 total, and I have 4 made. And you take the complete length of wire. Now, this is 20 gauge wire. 18 gauge wire is the most common, but it's too flimsy for the pussy willow. So if you only can find 18 gauge, put two together and tape those all the way down and then make your stem. Okay, now I already have some floral tape around it, and I'm just going to put my little flowerette on there and wrap. Now you want to wrap it tight. You want to just pull it tight as you go down the stem, and be sure you get down on the stem some. Now I'm just going to pull this off. Now to put the second one on, be sure that you have the part with the seam. Come down about 2 inches and put on another one. Now you do the same procedure, and I'm not going to completely wrap this one. You put on 4 total, and you just keep wrapping them till you have 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way down, and then wrap the bottom of your stem, and that completes your pussy willows. You want to make 5 of these. And then we're ready for the next step. Our next step is to put on the styrofoam and to make the bow. Now I already have my styrofoam wired on, but I want to show you how I did it. First you want to just put a glob of the hot glue on the handle or on the styrofoam, whichever, and stick it in place. This helps hold it while you wire it. Then cut some of your 18 gauge wire or 20 and push it through from the front, and then use your wire cutters just to twist it real hard on the back, real tight, and to clip it off. So now you have your styrofoam on there and it's good and firm, and it forms a base for your floral arranging. Now the next thing we're going to do is cover it with Excelsior, and we're going to use the greening pins for that. We just wrap some around. We want to cover the styrofoam in the back. Now we'll just wrap that around. We can pull some of it around to the front. We want to completely hide our styrofoam. It also makes a base for gluing in our drieds. Now you want to be sure that you're gluing that you're putting your styrofoam on the side where your ruffle met. Remember when we glued on our ruffle and our gimp and our lace. So now we're ready to make the bow, and we're going to use the lavender paper caper ribbon and also the sage green. And we have a 10-inch piece of the lavender, also a 50-inch piece, and then we have a 28-inch piece of the sage green. And we're going to start and make the center of our bow. And we're just going to put some glue on this part. We want to have a nice finished edge here. And then we're going to wrap it over and put it over this part, and then just crimp it together. Now that'll hold that together. We want to have a finished edge. Now we want to take the next one, is going to be the sage green piece, and we find the center of this one. Now this is the complete width. We have not cut this one in half. We find the center, and then we just overlap the ends to there and crimp it together. Now at this point, if you want to, you can take and put this one on top, and take about a 12-inch piece of the sage green covered wire. This makes a wonderful bow tie. because it's better than pipe cleaners or anything because it's colored. And you just loop it once, and that's going to hold that while you work with this piece. Now, you want to leave an end because this is going to be your streamer. You just overlap it in the middle. And you want your streamers to be about the same length. And then you put your bow over it. Now just take my wire loose and put it around all of the pieces. And twist it real tight on the back. Now I want to put this on my basket underneath, and I want to bring this around and hook it under my styrofoam. You want to pull it real tight, and then you can arrange this and pull this all out nice. We'll arrange it a little more as we complete our arrangement, and we want to use the scissors to cut the ends. Now that completes our bow. That was easy. Now we'll do our flower arranging. The last step is to do the floral arranging, and don't be intimidated, this is easy. Now the first thing we're going to do is to put in one of the irises, and we're just going to thread this one all the way through the stem. Now it's not even going to go down to the bottom of the handle, because depending on the height of your handle, you want to balance it out. So we've put it nice and high and threaded it through, and we put a little glue on there to secure it. The other two go in, this one on each side, a little lower. The one on my right is a little lower than the one on the left. Now we want to put in the pussy willows, and we've got one here, in other words, two on each side, kind of splitting the distance around the irises. Now, the last one, we're going to cut off a little bit, and remember to put glue on these stems before you put them in, just like I'm doing here. We're going to put some glue on that, and we're going to put it all the way in, just to the right of the center, and we're going to pull it over to the right a little bit. Now, I want to show you how to put in the drieds, and so I'm going to take this one off, because this is your basic, the floral stems, but I want to take this one off, and I'm going to bring this one over here so that you can see it better, and we're going to talk about the drieds. Now, there are three kinds here. This is the Caspia, we have the purple Sinuetta status, and we have the lavender mini gypsophilia. Now, we're going to start with the Caspia, and we just want to pull out the pieces. You want to get the ones with nice ends on them, nice pointed ends. You want to break the stem off, and of course just put the glue on it, and then you stick them in, and you start at the back, and you fill in and give your outline of your floral design all the way around. And you want to come out about 4 or 5 inches past the edges of your bow here. Now you fill in with your Caspia, and you just bring the shorter pieces. You use the longer ones at the back and bring the shorter pieces in and fill them in this area. Now when you have filled in all around your flowers, remember to leave your flowers sticking out of your drieds, because you don't want to hide your irises and your pussy willows. So when you get that filled in, then take some of your lavender and some of your purple, and just what your eye tells you looks good. Just stick your purple ones and your blue ones in among them until you have it as full as you want it. It's a matter of personal taste, but without very much trouble, you have a lovely basket that you can give as a gift, or you can use in your own home. Now, I want to remind you to pick up the Paper Ribbon Country Florals. The instructions for the lavender and lace basket are in here. Also, remember the the Roses and Arrangements book by Rita Mixon. And then I have a surprise for you. She has a new book, Elegant Swags, and we have some pictures of some of the projects from that book and some others to show you.